Okay, guys, looks like it's time to start the demo, and we have a quorum. The product owner joined the meeting, so we can start. So we have, for today, we have a bunch of features and bug fixes to be shown, and I published agenda, so let's follow the agenda I published. So the first one will be Roman Glushko, who will show you the implementation of his ticket devoted to the priority of SourceStockLinks, which is going to be used for the source selection algorithm. So, Roman, feel free to share your screen and make a presentation of results.
Hi, guys. Glad to see and hear you all again. Yeah, let me share my screen. And yeah, last time I was working on backend part of changes to stock source links. Yeah, I create everything we need to handle it on the backend, create some kind of service contracts and other stuff. And this helped us to unblock some other tickets. And one of that one was working this week, which is changes to source model and to stock source link model. So basically we moved priority field from source model to stock source link entity. Yeah, and these changes also will be applied to Magento admin. So let me let's show you how it looks like now, or will look like. Yeah, so let's open the source grid. So we used to have source in the source grid priority column, which is need to be removed, and now it's not present anymore in this grid, which is good. Yeah. Also, source form, edit forms also need to be changed, and also it's been done as well. So yeah, here you go. And let's open the form. So basically, there is no priority field anymore, and it will move to other place. So yeah, we used to have here one more field, but it's been removed. So, and let me show you how can we manage priority now. Yeah, for this, let's open some example of stock model. Yeah, let's open this one. And there is also no priority field, but it's hidden right now, and we can use drag and drop to manage our priority. So let's recall, let's remember the position. So the default source is the first one, and the test source is the second one. And then let's save this state. Yeah, it's been saved. Let's check it in the database as well. So yeah, as you see, default stock source link has a bigger priority than the test one, which is good. Let's check it one more time. Yeah, it works. It works as expected. So basically, that's it from this ticket. Also, some other stuff, backend stuff, was refactored according to these changes. And yeah, the pull request is on its way to be merged. So yeah, thank you, Igor.
Thank you, Roman. Just to remind you that we need the priority on the level of links between sources and stock for implementation of source selection algorithm, which will be run and which will determine from which sources we need to use to fulfill the order. And actually, that's why we need the priority here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But is this priority already used in? I assume this information is used during order fulfillment or during order place operation.
Order fulfillment. We know nothing about the during the order placement operation. We know nothing about the sources. So actually, the order placement operation is the same for the single stock as well for multi-stock.
And that is so. Is this scenario of order of sourcing during order fulfillment already functional? Does it already use this information about priority, or it's
not yet. Actually, we will just merging pull request with Roman's changes. We will start working on that. So we will start. That's actually very important piece for source selection algorithm implementation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's go further, and the next one gonna be Stepan, who will present the validation he added for the source stock links and the bugs he found during the Kharkiv contribution day, and actually he fixed it by his own, and he fixed it really good way because he provided some architectural changes with validation of the first item. So Stepan, feel free to make a demonstration.
Hello, everybody. Let me share my screen. So let's start from what was the problem. As you can see from Roman Glushko presentation, that we are able now to assign default source to non-default stock. It's not really good because default source and default stock is a functionality which duplicates primary Magento inventory module. So I found this bug during trying to fix another task, and I assigned default source to non-default stock, and tried to create one simple product, and received an error. So let's look here. I'll show you. Does anybody know? I see. Yeah. This is what we have now. So I have non-default stock created in my installation. So you can see here that we have a possibility to assign default stock to non-default, or default source to non-default stock. So for this, I created validator. This is prevent assign. Let me switch to my another branch. So I can show you my code.
Meanwhile, I have a question. So
Yeah,
what's the reason we want to prevent non-default source assignment to default stock? If I understood correctly.
Because according to our flow, we use default source and default stock only for duplicating inventory stock, basic inventory stock, which provided by catalog model. So
yeah, I understand that, but what would be like? What is the reason we don't want to use it for different stocks? Is there any error condition that can occur because of such connection?
I'm actually. Give me a second. I'll try to remember. That was a flow that we only wanted to have two situations. When a customer don't want to use our multi-source inventory, he only uses the basic inventory, and all the steps is duplicated in our default source. And another situation when customer use or owner merchant use our multi-source model, and he creates own stock, own source, and link this. This is like just I don't know how to call this. Just one or second, first on second.
Okay.
Maybe Igor can provide a better explanation. I don't know.
So, according to our vision and according to our what we have on MSI, we decided, and actually the full concept of the default source and default stock, we have currently just to support cases for easy migration and just to easily support the legacy catalog inventory implementation. And actually we have special meaning for the default stock because we synchronize data for the default source and default stock to catalog inventory tables and catalog inventory data. That's why we have like some special for this type of entities. That's why actually we introduce that kind of limitation. So now there is no possibility. So actually, what is default stock and default source? So it's kind of emulation of the single stock for the MSI merchants. And for those merchants who would like to still use single stock implementation, and this merchant should not worry about all of that like additional functionality and additional UI which being brought by MSI. So that's why actually we added that special meaning. Now we now we introduced two limitations which are checked by validators, that there is no possibility to assign any other source than the default stock, and there is no possibility to assign default stock to many sources, so other sources than the default source. So that's why we have that limitation.
Okay, so let's continue the demo, but I would like to discuss it a bit more because my understanding the concept of default stock is pretty useful, even in multi-source scenarios. Like I have the default. I have biggest source, right? Or biggest warehouse, and by default, when I create my products or assign the inventory to them, I want them to be by default the inventory to be or stored, decremented, or products to be shipped from my biggest warehouse. So this concept might be very useful, and if we only reserve it for duplication of legacy functionality, this might be a bit confusing. I might not understand all of the implications and scenarios, so I suggest not to take a lot of time on this demo and set up a separate, community call to discuss this.
Okay, I just rephrase that, not a legacy functionality, but a single stock functionality, because actually still the majority of merchants will use Magento as a single stock system, even with MSI on board. And we no need to overcomplicate the UI, for example, for them, and no need to introduce additional complexity.
Yeah, I agree. But my point is that in multi-source scenarios, I think it will still be useful to have default stock, and such limitation might be a bit confusing for people. Let's make sure that we don't surprise people with physical limitations.
So you mean in this case that we might have different default source stocks for every website, or for every website? For example, if merchants have several websites, and one of stock will be one of source will be default. Like this?
Yeah. I think yes. This is a bit confusing, but I want, as a merchant, I want to be able to assign default source to non-default stock, right, and make it the priority. Okay, but this might be a better question to Mark. Mark, if you have no question to this implementation, let's continue. I'll just talk to you later.
Yeah, we can sync up on it.
Okay. Let's continue.
Okay.
Then.
Yeah, thank you. So what was done in Kharkiv during the contribution day? I have created a stock source link validation interface in the inventory model, and the validator chain for them. And in inventory catalog, I created two validators. One of them replaced one of plugin which validates assigning default non-default source to default stock. That was implemented by assigning a plugin. So I removed this and created validators here, and pass this using DI to this validator chain. So that's all from my side. Any questions?
No questions from my side.
Okay, thanks a lot.
By the way, we already merged your pull request today, so it's already in development. Okay, so let's follow the agenda, and the next one gonna be Roman Keith, who will show you the mean quantity and the 10-minute stock configurable option support. So Roman.
Hi all again. I'll show you how we adapt to multi-source inventory mean quantity and manage stock. So I have several stocks and I have several sources. Let's start from default stock. So I have some products. Let's take this one. Okay, let's find it on front end. Yes, he is here. If I set it to auto stock and quantity will be 0. So the index is done and it will disappear from front end. Now, if I go to advanced inventory and set manage stock to null and save the product, so we don't manage inventory, so it should be visible on front end. And yes, it is visible on front end. Now, if I use config manage stock and set quantity, for example, 5, and here it will be quantity here and mean quantity set to 5, and here 6. Save. So it should be visible because mean quantity is 5 and our product has quantity 6. Search 6. Yes, it is visible now. If I change quantity to 5, it shouldn't be visible on front end. And yes, it isn't visible. Let's back these options. Done. Save. But we have this option also in Magento configuration global. Storage configuration. Okay, let's do again quantity 0 out of stock. Save. It should be invisible. And now manage stock set to null. As we don't have plugin for this configuration, so I should go to index by my hand. It will be right soon. Okay, it should be visible. Yes, it is visible. Configuration manage stock. Yes. Mean quantity set to 5. Here. Okay. 5 save. Here let's in stock and 6 save. It is saved here. So the index. And yes, it is visible. Let's set 5. Save. And it will be invisible. It was default stock. Let's show you to the, for example, stock 2. I have stock 2, and I have here source 2. Let's continue with some other product. So let's assign product 7 to stock 2. Assign sources. Source 2, yes. Let's set 10, save. And stock 2 is also on my second website, and my second website have URL this one. Okay, second website, product with Dynamics Q7. Okay, yes, we really can find it here because we assign it to stock second. Now I will do it out of stock. Save. Find it here, and it is really invisible. Let's set again manage stock to no. Done. Save. Find. Yes, it is visible here. Manage stock quantity. Let's say 7. If here will be 7, it won't be visible. Save. It is saved. Let's find. It is visible. Why it is in stock 7? Oh, I'm sorry. Here, let's set 7. Save. And it is really invisible. If we set here quantity 8, it should be visible. Okay, that's good. Now let's set it to default 0, 5. 5 because we have configuration 5 seems. Catalog inventory. Yes, we also use config settings 8 and save it. So it is visible. Now go to settings again, manage stock. Yes. Tag product quantity 7. Let's set 8 here. Save config and reindex again. It is not visible. Now let's set manage stock now. Save config. Reindex. So it should be visible because we don't manage stock. Yes, it is visible. So I think that's all from me. Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you, Roman. And I will share my screen and show you that we prepared actually the scope of inventory option list. And here we describe actually the scope to which that option would be applied. For example, minimum quantity supposed to be applied for the stock. And we check whether we have like enough quantity to be sell to fulfill the order. That's why we need to apply it for stock. But some of the configuration option applied on a source basis. For example, back orders. For example, automatically return credit memo. Here we specify the source, and the same as the notify quantity below. So this is a low stock notification mechanism. We are working on another story. That's why we are differentiating here to whether this configuration option would be applied on a source level or on a stock level. So you can see that on an inventory option list, we will add some more description here. We just started it because we started to adapt the configuration, and Roman will show you two of the configuration implemented and adapted for the MSI currently. Okay. So moving towards our agenda. So the next had to be Josh Carter, but he just texted me that he don't have enough time to visit our demo. So I am again will show you. Give me a second. So I'm going to. Yes. So I'm sharing my screen. So because as the idea of the strategy, how MSI going to be delivered to the to Magento CE, we agreed that now we need to deliver all the extension points and all the files we've added or updated in the scope of Magento CE repository and in Magento modules, and as well as Magento framework and library parts. That's why we open a pull request with all the changes we affected in the scope of the Magento community edition. And in the scope of that edition, you see that there are like 44 files have been changed, and we open a pull request to Magento CE. And reviewing that pull request with all the changes, I found out that we don't have implementation for one of the interface we introduced here. And we introduce, so we introduce the interface for StockItem import functionality, and we introduce it for actually catalog import-export module, and there's no default implementation in that module. So all the implementation provided is the implementation we have in the MSI. That's why we started a ticket to make to provide a default implementation for the community edition, not to lead to the fatal error. And now we with Josh agreed how that's gonna be implemented, and Josh already had some results to show, but because he's not currently on the meeting, he can't do it. But actually, that's the update from Josh, that we are working on making this pull request to be delivered to mainline with all the changes to Magento mainline with all the changes we made for the MSI to make like MSI kind of a bundle extension on top of the Magento community edition. So that was the update from Josh Carter. And the next one gonna be Alexander Kozyr, who will show you the bug fix he made during the Kharkiv contribution day. So Alexander.
Hi everyone, I'm sorry I'll be without picture because technical issues. I got a really small presentation because it was really a small bug. We have found it during the contribution day and have solved it just in that day. So it was small, but as for me, because it was first contribution day connected with MCI, for me, I was mostly getting in and understanding all this story and so on. So the main problem was that for form where we edit stock and where we edit connection with sources, there was some annoying bug that prevents to remove, unassign particular source from the stock. How it was reproduced when you was trying to remove only one. Here it worked for first time, but for any another moves, you was not able to remove the source from UE. And when you save in the object of stock, you receiving no connection with any sources. So it works like mass unassigned. So after not long researching, I found out that the problem was with initialization, XML initialization of this UE component. So there was no such parameter added to this UE component, and that's why it works like this. After fixing it, it works well. So now we can check it by just refreshing. So I think that the problem was just functional. So any other improvements, small bugs, small presentation, let me just see. There is no cache switched on, so it's quite slow. And also my hardware is not so cool as it could be. Oh, 1 second. So generally, after adding that parameter, so it overrides default parameter, everything works as it expected. But I think that in future we need to add some maybe functional testing or something like this, because it was not some JavaScript error or something like this. It was just a problem with using existing UE component as we get it up. So I'm not showing how it not working, because I think it not make any sense. I think the most important that it is now will be working. So let me just check. So we need some stock that we need to edit with a few sources, and we want to remove only one source from this stock. Let me try to do it. So let me maybe add one more. So there will be 3, and we try to remove 2, and after that we will save it, and we'll check that there is only 1. Still, I'm sorry, maybe I should to switch on caching to make it faster, but because it connected with UE components, and I assume that we need to do it.
No worries, it's pretty typical when developers make presentation on Magento on developer mode.
Yes, no, it's also. So we add it, let me save, and check that it's saved. And no, maybe for the next time I will be make some improvements for the speed, because yes, it's maybe connected with development mode of this particular instance. So small bug, but long presentation. So now we can remove 1. After that, we can remove 2nd. After that, we can save. and we expected result that we will have only one source connected with this stock. When the bug was in the branch, we couldn't remove one or two. After clicking on bucket, we removing all connected sources.
Sorry, the screen share went by very quickly. So you removed the two of those just by clicking the icon, yeah?
Yeah, one by one, just one by one. So, and we can see that we have one connected as we have expected. So that was all fixed. As I said, for me it was the first MSI, so just sorry for such small input.
All the inputs are valuable, so no need to say sorry.
Yeah, we would take all contributions.
Thank you very much. I hope next will be more valuable.
Thank you.
That's all for me. If some questions, if no, I will listen for next our colleague.
Okay, the next gonna be John Stannett, who will show you update for the MFTF test framework and the functional testing written for the MSI. John, are you ready to share your screen and make a presentation?
Hi, everyone. I can give you a slight presentation on this. Everything's still a work in progress, but yeah, I'll share my screen. If Zoom wants to cooperate. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Get stuff over to the right screen. Okay, currently, so I'm John Sinnott. I'm part of the team Pangolins. I help develop MFTF, and I've been assigned to this team for the quarter, for the next few weeks, to actually do test case automation for y'all. So I will be helping to develop actual, hopefully clean, beautiful, properly done tests that will be the template that everyone can use going forward to actually create tests for all the test cases that are being created. So right now I'm kind of documenting the process. So this is a work in progress. It's not fully complete. I have more stuff I want to dump in here later today. But we'll be going through the actual entire test case process of where to actually get the test cases from, which ones to pick first, all the tagging that we want to actually be using so we can categorize everything correctly, how we want to label them, everything will be laid out here eventually. And I know John Ryan on one of the other teams is working on another document for the actual style guide. So eventually these will get merged into one nice document that we'll actually be able to share with the community. Because this right now is internal, but we'll actually be making this publicly facing soon. Again, all work in progress. And I have created a few tests for this project. Come on. Maximize. Oh, that's one of the newer test cases. So right now this exists in our Magento CE test repo. I will be moving this to the MSI repo under the module. But so my task lately has been to actually start laying out all the different tags, how we want them formatted, what IDs are going to be going where, what groups we're actually going to be using. I'm going through and creating actual page objects for all of the new MSI sections of the admin. And I'm also building out metadata so that we can post up the just a standard form post, so we don't have to drive the UI at every single time. That will allow us to speed up the test creation processes. I'm also looking for anything that we cannot fundamentally support with MFTF, and any areas that we can actually improve the user experience, or just anything that we can do to actually help everyone moving forward. So I'm trying to pick apart our own lovely framework and try to automate everything that I can for y'all. But I will be the point of contact for MSI and doing the automation, so feel free to hit me up on Slack. And also, if I'm not available, please put your questions into the MFTF Slack channel. That is where everyone's going to be monitoring it. So if I'm not available, we can get an answer back to you as hopefully as quick as possible. But yeah, all my stuff's under development. So hopefully next week I will have actual stuff that will be committed that everyone can view and pull down and run, and further documentation. So if anyone wants to get started with actual test creation, you can dive in, and I'll be more than happy to help you out or review any of the actual tests that you take. Because the more tests you get, the better. The more help I have, the better. I think kind of it for me. Not much to show right now. Anyone have any questions for me?
None from my side.
Cool. I'm sure I'll have more questions for y'all as I dive deeper into this project. Everyone's been really friendly so far and helped me out, get me unblocked, which has been great. Yeah, hopefully next week I'll have more for you.
Thank you, John, for your presentation. And guys, feel free to ask John if you would like to start discovering the new MFTF Magento framework and you would like to deep dive into Magento functional testing. And actually, that's really good news that the first examples and first samples of the functional testing would be available, especially for the MSI module. So as you are already familiar with MSI and all the stuff happen around the MSI, it would be for us much easier to start working with the new functional framework because you already know the domain, but you will see how easily to cover the functionality with the functional testing either.
Yep, yeah, the new framework should be a lot easier to use than the old one.
Okay, and the last one, I will show you the small update from my side. So because we have several issues, but actually that was the same issue, but it was created several times by different people, because currently as you know, on our product page, if you go to the product editing page, currently you see that we have that quantity and the stock status fields, which used to be here for a long time since Magento 1. Not since Magento 1, it was moved here in the scope of the improved the product creation flow, but actually since Magento 2.0. And here we added this grid with the source manipulation, where there is a possibility to assign quantity on a source basis. And it was always an issue because we have to synchronize these fields, and when somebody edited this field, we also made a manipulation here, and because there was always different bugs created because of that, because who is the main field here, the default source in a grid, or default source, or the quantity here, because actually this field quantity represents the default source on a multi-stock installation. And because it was unclear, because where the merchant supposed to input the correct quantity, because we had two controls, and we had several meetings regarding that. And actually, as a result, we agreed that we will just we'll have like two types, because taking into account that in Magento gonna be like two different types of merchant. The first one gonna be a single stock. So the single stock merchant has the only stock, and they no need to make any manipulation with warehouses, brick and mortar stores, etc. So the only one place from where he fulfills the order. And for this kind of merchant, we will leave everything as is. So the MSI would not bring any new sophistication in the UI. So that's gonna be the same two fields, quantity and the stock status here. And for the multi-stock merchant, we will show that grid. And when we will show that grid, we actually hide, like not just hide, but just remove totally this fields quantity and the stock status. So they're gonna be just the only source of truth on a UI where the merchant can update and edit the quantity and the stock status for needed source items. So we have like these options. Like for the single stock merchant, we have the same form as we had before, and for the multi-source user, we'll have this source, and we will determine whether the merchant is a single source, single stock or multi-stock merchant, depending on a check whether how many sources he already created and how many of the sources are active, because we don't have a possibility to remove source, we just have a possibility to disable the source. So if there are more than one active source, we will show this grid with the sources to merchant. So this is the update from UI perspective, and also we've started to work on a configurable product, because you know that's pretty big challenge, because for the configurable product we have quite a lot of variation and all of that variation are generated, and there is a possibility to provide the quantity for each of these variation at the time of the generation of configurable product. So we already started to work on that task, and I hope so that we will make an update and we will show you the results of our work on a next MSI demo. So looks like our today's pretty big and pretty long meeting came to its end. And if there are any question, don't hesitate to raise that question. Maybe Mark has some particular question to us.
No, I don't have any others. Like we discussed in chat, I'll keep reviewing those mock-ups with Eugene to make sure we have everything we need.
Okay, thank you very much, guys, for your time. Thank you very much for your contribution, and see you next week, guys, and have a good weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.